Pastor admits to having relations with deacon's wife. But wait, there is more.
Hold on.
Judge
Mr. Mayhorn.
Is that the way you talk to your pastor?
You not my
or you talk to your friend that way?
You're not a friend.
Oh, you're not
Let's get some order. Let's get some order. So, Pastor Hatton,
yes,
you are agreeing and you are admitting that you had a sexual relationship with Mr. Mayhorn's wife.
Yes, ma'am.
He is suing you for alienation of affection.
Whatever
Why
that
should
means.
you?
How can he sue me for something that I didn't do to him personally?
Your Honor.
He needs to sue his wife.
It's called alienation of
Well,
affection.
man, he needs to sue his wife. I didn't force her to have sex with me.
Well, but you were a party to it. Go back to how you found out about this, Mr. Mayhorn. How did you figure all this out?
I was working with the church secretary, Miss Betty Jones. She handed me an invoice showing that with my name on it. I do have it here for your records.
I'd like to see it.
Backstabbing.
Okay. Miss Jones?
Can you give me all your evidence that you brought to court, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the hotel bill?
That's also my my food delivery bill, because subsequently my wife left me. She told me she didn't want to be married with me anymore, so now I got to cook for myself. I got to clean my own house.
So you don't know how to cook and clean?
You know what? Your mama.
All right, do you have any evidence for me, sir?
Evidence in terms of what, ma'am?
Evidence that you bring to court to prove your case.
This is my word against. I already admitted that I had relations with his wife.
That's exactly right. But you said a Jezebel spirit? I thought you might have brought in something
to prove
that you were not intentional in this. Because if you intentionally came between him and his wife, that's the basis for alienation of affection.
Well,
and now your witness is standing. I'd like to hear from her, Mr. Mayhorn. State your name for the record, ma'am.
Yes. My name is Betty Jones.
Hello, Ms. Jones. What would you like to add to this?
I would like to add that I have been the church secretary for over 25 years. Nothing comes to the church I will not see.
Okay.
So I was taken aback when this receipt came to the church, and I knew Mr. Mayhorn had not been away. The receipt was in his name, and I knew the pastor had been away.
Okay, stop. I want to understand this. You saw a receipt. Whose name was on the receipt?
The name on the receipt was Mr. Mayhorn.
Okay, so how did you come to realize that the pastor was responsible for this receipt?
Because he gave it to me.
Oh.
And I had already had an inkling that something was transpiring between the pastor and Mr. Mayhorn's
give you just one receipt. You are the church secretary, so you are in charge of all the receipts. And if you had any problem with anything that I did, you could have came to me. We wouldn't have been here today.
Pastor Hatton.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not giving no sermon in here, and you're definitely not yelling at no women. So bring it down a notch.
Yes, ma'am.
It was impossible for me to go to him because I had already done something amiss myself. I had been in a relationship with the pastor.
Oh, so this is jealousy.
And he promised to me that I was the only person. But when I found out I wasn't the only person, I was highly perturbed.
Well, listen, Ben, if you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth. The only reason you say anything to this man is because you're jealous. No. Because I was with his wife and not with you.
No.
Be honest.
The church secretary just said, not only are you sleeping with the deacon's wife, you were sleeping with her too. And you didn't deny it.
Don't deny any of it.
What kind of pastoring are you doing?
Well, I'll say this. I'm not the first pastor you heard anything like that about.
Actually, you are. This is an easy case. right?
Easy
because you've admitted that you slept with his wife.
Yes.
And under the law, you intentionally do that when you know they're married. You even knew their marriage was going through a bit of a rocky time. They came to you for help, for counsel. And instead, I always say this, do not seek counsel under the covers. And that's exactly where you led Ms. Mayhorn. And it's for that, it is for that reason, I'm done hearing from you. It is for that reason, it has been determined by this court that we are ruling in favor of the plaintiff for $10,000. Pay it. And if I were you, I would step down as pastor. I don't think this is a role you take seriously or you value, and God don't like ugly. Court is adjourned.
Now, do you notice some things in that particular video? First of all, when the secretary came out, the pastor was talking about...
He handed me an invoice showing that with my name on it, I do have it here for your records.
I'd like to see it.
And surprisingly to you, and of course to everyone there at the court, he had been having an affair with the secretary. Of course, as well, you heard him sound in a way more of like, come on.
Well, I'll say this. I'm not the first pastor you heard anything like that about.
Maybe he's the first the judge is coming in contact with. But look at his demeanor in the court session. You are a pastor of a church. You're having an affair with the secretary and also the wife of your own deacon. If you remember the video we looked at before, I will link it in the pinned comment. It's exactly the same story. When women go to the pastor, this one right now is the wife, the one we did before was the wife of the pastor that gave the story. When women go to the pastor for counseling or whatever, I don't know how pastors are able to do this. And when I talk about pastors, don't think I'm talking about all pastors. But like you can see in this particular video, we have looked at cases like this before on this platform in case you were new. So, but how do some pastors, how are they able to do this, that someone is coming to you for counseling, then you take that opportunity to be in an affair with that person, and you that is going to the pastor for counseling, what is in your mind when you see that your own pastor is trying to have an affair with you? Like, what? Sometimes I try to understand, because if you have seen this person as a pastor, you are going to this person as a, let me just say, holy, or someone that hears God or this and this, but in the end that person is now the one cajoling you into having an affair with him. And if you heard the judge very well when she was talking, she's more of like, where is your defense? Because for him to have a defense, he has to prove that it was not something intentional, because you heard her talk about Jezebel's spirit, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I've noticed sometimes when I discuss the people I've discussed already here on the platform that are known for their scandals and whatever. I read people in the comments saying that the women themselves should be blamed. But I'm like, you are who is the higher person right here? Who is a significant figure right here? You are a pastor of a church. Now, it is not someone in the church that is expected to be the one talking about it. That's why he felt betrayed by the secretary, or would I say even betrayed by his deacon. But now, where is this particular case being tracked? Where is this particular case being discussed? In the court, out there. That is why when I tell you people that a lot of these things happen in many churches, but they are being covered. In the sense that Christians, we are very good at covering things like this, because you say, oh, it's going to damage the body of Christ. Oh, it's a bad thing. It's affecting people's faith. And then people should keep quiet so that it may continue. Is that the point right here? Because if no one can talk to the pastor, look at, you heard him saying that, oh, you should have come and told me. Or if you had an issue, you could have come and confirmed from me. Why would she even want to do that when it is very, very obvious? She is having an affair with you. Think about that for a moment. And for him For the whole receipt thing and then being in the name of the deacon and all that, that was very dubious, I would say. But of course, some of you watching me right now, I said some of you watching me right now, some of you are pastors. You have looked at cases like this before. Would you engage in such a kind of thing? If you were a pastor, so I'm putting out right now a question to those who are watching me. If you're a pastor and or if you are in a church where this kind of thing is happening and you are sure and certain that this is happening, your pastor is engaging in this and that, what will you do about it? Keep quiet so that the pastor continues? Who are you going to report to? Who are you going to seek counsels for? Who are you going to tell that will call him to order? Definitely you will not say you are going to go and pray, oh God, arrest my pastor, this and this. Is that what you are going to do? That's why sometimes these things happen and people come out. And when people like me talk about it, they say, oh, you are antichrist. You are bringing damage to the body of Christ. Don't touch anointed. So the people that their pastor is touching and having an affair with, they are the ones that are not anointed. But the anointed person is now mingling with those who are not anointed, because that's what some of you are going to say. When these things happen like this, and there is no form of accountability in the church, the pastors are not accountable to the church elders, because the church elders are under them and cannot question them. If no one can question the pastor himself, that is why these kind of things come out. So $10,000 is going to be awarded to this deacon right now. Maybe the pastor can then continue having an affair with the secretary and maybe the deacon's wife, ex-wife, I would say. The point of this video right now, you could see that the secretary herself felt she was the only one. I don't even know if the pastor himself is married. And there are some churches whereby the pastor is not married. And okay.